Hello. 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 Now, this is my first time doing ASMR. But today, we are going to be doing ASMR horror stories. Sorry, Reddit horror stories. And then I'll rate them afterward. Okay. This one is pretty long. It says, took probably a 14-year break from fiction, finally wrote a short horror story, and I'm just sharing it here because I'm excited. Hi everyone. This is the first piece of fiction I've written in about 14 years since high school. I wasn't expecting much when I started, but I ended up feeling pretty proud of how it turned out. I wanted to share it here. Anyway, okay, now that's their whole thing. The Spare Key is what the title is. Alright. Iris groaned and rolled over, fumbling for her alarm clock. As it yelled at her to get out of bed. afraid, actively thwarting her instinctive urge to get away from the room. She made herself pass by, slowly watching the door from the corner of her eye. A faint, rhythmic clicking sound drifted through the door, quiet but insistent, and it made the hairs on the back of her neck stand out. Oh, sorry. Stand on end. As she passed the edge of the door frame, she became aware of the sudden weight in the pocket of her jacket. She reached inside and pulled out an ornate brass key. Frowning, she most definitely had not had this key in her pocket last night, and all her grandfather's keys had been kept together on his key ring. Slipping it back into her pocket, she rolled the flannel down past her fingers protectively and decided she'd try to find out what the key would tell later this afternoon. Later in the day, Iris rose from her position over the moving boxes and rubbed her back. She always forgot how much work it was to pack up a home. She just needs to refuel before I do any more. Oh, sorry. I just need to refuel before I do any more. She sighed to herself, moving back into the kitchen and reheat yet another casserole. As she moved towards the refrigerator to get her lunch. Her eye was drawn to a glint on the kitchen counter. Frowning, she picked up the brass key from earlier. Had she forgotten that she'd taken it out of her pocket earlier and left it in the kitchen? She guessed she must have. The monotony of the last few days made her feel a little fuzzy. So it must have slipped her mind. She played with the key, turning it over in her hands as the microwave wired on the counter. Counter. Well, I might as well try to figure out what you open, she told the key, slipping it back into her flannels pocket and taking her lunch, buffalo chicken casserole this time. So at least she had some flavor variety. Around the house, searching for anything that looked like it matched the brass key. Her grandfather's home wasn't large. Hold on, I'm sorry, I this one. You ready? This one is called I'm Sorry Your Wife Didn't Make It. On the bright side, neither did your child. I jogged down the office steps to take the elevator. It was taking too damn long, and I didn't have time to spare. My shoes squeaked against the clean tiles, and I dodged the bodies of my colleagues. I barely got the chance to glance at Jackson. He wasn't having it and grabbed my wrist right as I passed his cubicle. Where do you think you're going? He grinned. She's in labor, I muttered, smiling ear to ear. His eyes widened. He mirrored my expression and stood from his chair. His grip on my wrist turned the borderline painful, but the adrenaline rush alone helped me ignore it. Well, why the heck are you still here? I'll handle your work. Go to your wife and kid. He pulled me into a quick but firm hug, patting my back twice as a gesture of good luck, and just like that I was off. Out onto the parking lot in my piece of crap Corolla. The highway, of course, had bumper-to-bumper traffic, and the heavy rain didn't much help. My phone would alternate between ringing and buzzing from messages from friends and calls from family. She wasn't at all far from the delivery room. I could hear the mother of my child screaming her lungs out in the background, and sure, my heart was in my throat for obvious reasons, but I couldn't focus on anything but the road and Troy's voice. So if you don't get your butt here in the next 10 minutes, you'll officially be a deadbeat from the day one, she warned. Very funny. How is she? I asked, honking my horn as a moron who tried to swerve lanes. Tori paused, as if listening for my wife's cries of agony. They were responded with, she's been better, but I'm sure she's fine. I'll try to make it as soon as possible. Okay. Where was I? I messed up. stumbled over syllables, jumbled phrases, but I prayed. If you're listening, please protect my wife and child. Pregnancy is dangerous enough, definitely. Has complications with hers. It technically was never supposed to happen for medical reasons. Then, a new strand of COVID hit, with its own rules and expectations. No masks, nothing like that. It didn't even infect most of the population. It did affect for some reason. They were advised not to try for children. That's it. We strongly advise you to not have biological children. I was infected. Oh my God, he got infected, and that's why he lost his baby and wife. Oh my God. Anyway, let's continue. And we abstained for 5 years because we feared for the safety of our child. Our baby's health came first. Our happiness was an afterthought. We were willing to wait. However, eventually, we decided it's been long enough. Other variants of the virus are long gone from our bodies by now. This one couldn't be too far. So it happened quickly. She became pregnant, ready to face months of doctor visits and strange cravings. Very strange cravings. Making my drive to the hospital, stepping out and running into the front door, finding Tori, and hugging her in celebration. All the sweeter we stood and paced in silence as more of our family started showing up. Time passes. They call us in to meet the newest member of our family. Well, they certainly called us. And I listened. I stood with a vacant stare, trying out more screams, only this time from outside. This time I could see the face around me, distort in agony. Feel hands grab as my arms and pry me every which way, as if wanting an explanation from me. A husk stood next to trembling bodies. I never moved. I never spoke, because there was nothing to say. It was a sense of grief. They explained what went wrong. They didn't get a chance to actually hammer in the final nail. We did everything we could. By this point, their wailing had completely drowned her out. My eyes did follow the figure under the white sheet, white as snow. My Tiffany would sing out of tune. She would leave dishes in the sink. That would drive me insane. Ironically, she hated a messy space. We watched terrible 80 movies and talked about cheesy romance books she was obsessed with. She had 2 left feet and a wild mind. She had ambition, grit, the most stubborn woman I've ever known. All of that doesn't begin to describe my Tiffany. I was filled with hate. Okay, well, time is almost up. So, thank you all for watching. This is Soundbox ASMR, and I hope to see you in